Jovan Buha! Buha!
Yo, yo! I'm Jovan Buha, NBA reporter and analyst for Buha's Block, and welcome to a quick injury update. Austin Reaves has been upgraded to questionable for Game 3 against the Houston Rockets in Houston. A surprise to the injury report. JJ Redick today said at practice that nothing had changed with Austin's status, that status quo with Austin and Luka, but that obviously wasn't true. Austin had returned to practice this week in the form of playing one-on-one. And he was playing one-on-one today after practice with medical staffers observing him. And so this would be a significant addition to the Lakers, their second leading scorer in the regular season, averaging nearly 24 points per game and nearly 6 assists per game. I'm not sure if he's going to play in Game 3. It seems maybe like Game 4 is more realistic between the two because it is also a quick turnaround between Game 3 and Game 4. So he'd be thrown into the fire and then only have one day in between games. So it feels like this might be a situation where he's questionable, then is ruled out, and then ends up playing in Game 4 on Sunday. But whether it's Game 3, Game 4, or maybe it even gets pushed to Game 5 and the Lakers are extra cautious with it, Austin would be a welcomed addition to this group. I talked about it the other day. I'm not sure if he'd be starting or coming off the bench initially. The Lakers have brought him off the bench a couple of different times this season when returning from an absence. So I could see that. The starting lineup has been playing great. And I would assume Austin would probably be on a minutes restriction for at least a game, if not a couple games, before returning to a full workload. But regardless of if he's starting or coming off the bench on a minutes restriction or not on a minutes restriction, Austin will give LA another ball handler, another playmaker, another shot creator, another shooter, another offensive weapon. And I think we'll balance out some of the non-LeBron lineups and even some of the LeBron lineups. I think you'll see a heavy dose of Austin and LeBron together, even if he's coming off of the bench. So this would be huge for the Lakers right now. Outside of the starting group, Jackson Hayes had a solid Game 2. Vando and Jake have been playing solid defense, but have not factored in offensively. And then Bronny has had a couple of rough shifts. And so even if Austin just comes in, takes the few Bronny minutes, maybe a little bit less with some of the bench guys, and then also collectively with the starters, everyone's playing a little bit less. I think that's going to keep everybody fresher. I think that is going to bolster the bench, and or like it's either going to be Rui or Luke coming off the bench or Austin coming off the bench. Either way, that's improving the bench. That's improving the bench offense. And so I think this is a huge development for the Lakers. Whether he can return Game 3, Game 4, or Game 5, I think it will be a positive. And I think it will only improve LA's odds of advancing in this series and make them more competitive in the following series. Also gives Austin some runway here to get some games under his belt going into the second round, assuming that the Lakers win this series. And I think then that puts him in a better position to be more competitive against OKC and be able to withstand their ball pressure, their blitzing, etc. And now that was not the only injury update for the Lakers. JJ Redick said that Jake LaRavia suffered a minor ankle sprain, but he is going to be available. He is going to play through it. He's technically day-to-day, but he was not on the injury report. And then the other big one on the Houston side is Kevin Durant is listed as questionable for Game 3 with a left ankle sprain. And this is a new injury. This is not an injury that we had heard about from the Rockets side at practice today or anywhere else. He was just listed on the injury report with a left ankle sprain. And that's different than the knee injury he was dealing with that caused him to miss Game 1 and be a game time decision for Game 2. That was a right knee contusion. This is a left ankle sprain. So entirely different leg, entirely different part of the body. And if Kevin Durant can't go, I know he had the rough second half and LA held him to 3 points and 5 turnovers, but you look at that first quarter and you saw like he still had 20 points in the first half. He still was hitting pull-up jumper after pull-up jumper, and the Lakers do have to defend him a certain way when he's on the floor with sending two and allowing Houston to have an advantage on the back line. Now, they rarely take advantage of that advantage, and they're throwing the ball out of bounds, turning it over, taking bad shots, missing layups, all those things that have played into the Lakers' hands defensively. But make no mistake about it, the Rockets are a better team with Kevin Durant, and if he can't go, you have to favor. I mean, the line right now is like minus 10.5 in favor of the Rockets. I don't know if Kevin Durant's status has affected that yet. I assume it will. But that is like, they're saying the Rockets are decisive favorites in game 3. If Kevin Durant can't go, I think you have to favor the Lakers. If Kevin Durant plays, I understand the Rockets are at home. They're desperate, down 2-0. Maybe they're slight favorites in that case. But the Lakers have shown, Rockets have not scored over 100 points in 3 of the past 4 games against the Lakers. Lakers have won 4 straight. The Lakers are in a great groove against this Rockets team, particularly this Rockets offense with LA's defense. And just Houston has not been able to solve it. So it sounds like they're going to play more Reed Shepherd. That has been one thing Ime Udoka has talked about going into game 3. But that also gives the Lakers a duck to target defensively. And they're going to put him in a bunch of actions, bunch of pick and rolls, try to get some switches, and then put him in the post and force Houston to double shade over and then play out of that with an advantage. So a couple big injury developments here with Austin Reaves being upgraded to questionable, Kevin Durant being downgraded to questionable. And this just shows how quickly the playoffs can flip on their head at any moment. Last night, Jalen Williams suffers a grade 1 hamstring strain. He is now week to week. OKC's up 2-0 in that series. They will probably sweep it or win it in 5 at worst. They don't really need him to beat Phoenix, but that's an injury to monitor, especially if the Lakers are able to advance in 4 or 5 games against the Rockets, and then they're matched up with OKC a few days later. And then you look at San Antonio. Victor Wembanyama is now in the concussion protocol after that nasty hit he took to the head. In Denver, Peyton Watson remains out. Aaron Gordon just got ruled out for game 3 with a calf injury. So the playoffs can flip at any moment. All of the top teams right now are dealing with some sort of injury. You have Ant playing through his runner's knee. So even Minnesota, like they have him available, but he's not fully himself yet. It has not looked 100%. So everyone's dealing with something. The playoffs are a war of attrition. The Lakers have been hit the hardest of all those teams with losing Luka and Austin, but Austin is going to return, whether it's game 3, game 4, or maybe in the worst case, game 5. And then the next step will eventually be Luka, whether that's, doesn't seem like end of first round is in play right now, but maybe early to mid second round. And they get Luka back, they have Austin back, and they're at full strength with the way that Luke's playing, the way that Marcus is playing, the way that Rui's playing, and of course, most importantly, the way that LeBron's playing. And look at the OKC matchup. Like, yes, OKC will be heavy favorites. The Lakers have not matched up well with them, and they hit at some of LA's weaker points in terms of dealing with ball pressure, blitzing, and playing out of that. But no Jalen Williams potentially. And if Austin's back, Luka comes back at some point. Who knows? Maybe that series is more competitive than initially anticipated. But that'll do it for today's update. I will be back after Wolves Nuggets to talk about my game 2 rewatch, game 3 adjustments, and maybe hit on a little bit of Wolves Nuggets. That's been the most fun playoff series so far, and I'm really intrigued to see how game 3 goes. So we'll touch on a little bit of that, then get into the Q&A, go for about an hour or so tonight. So planning to go live probably around 9:15, 9:30, go live for an hour. And so be on the lookout for that. But shout out to the late night gang. Shout out to the chat. Appreciate you all and talk to you soon.